The better swap is about choosing slow-release energy over fast-burning kindling. Swap white bread for 100% whole grain bread, or even better, a naturally fermented sourdough. Swap those sugary cereals for plain oatmeal topped with the berries and nuts we'll discuss in a moment. Swap the crackers for a handful of almonds or some crunchy baby carrots with hummus. The bottom line is that these refined carbs offer nothing but empty calories and a fast track to brain inflammation. To protect your mind, you must choose complex fiber-rich carbohydrates that give your brain the steady, reliable fuel it needs to thrive. Worst food number 2 is processed meats. This includes bacon, sausages, hot dogs, and most packaged deli meats like turkey, ham, and bologna. These foods are pillars of convenience. A quick sandwich for lunch, a hot dog at a family barbecue, bacon with Sunday breakfast, they are tasty, protein-rich, and deeply embedded in our culture. But the industrial processing these meats undergo transforms them, creating a trifecta of brain-damaging compounds that pose a significant risk, especially after 60. The research here is frankly alarming. One large-scale study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition delivered a shocking statistic. For each additional 25 grams of processed meat consumed per day, that's equivalent to just one slice of bacon or a single thin slice of deli meat. The associated risk of developing dementia increases by a staggering 44%. Another massive study from researchers at Mass General Brigham backed this up, finding that individuals with the highest intake of processed meats had a 13% higher risk of dementia. How does this happen? The first mechanism involves nitrates and N-nitroso compounds. To preserve these meats and give them their characteristic color and flavor, manufacturers add nitrates. Inside your body, particularly in the acidic environment of your stomach, these nitrates can be converted into compounds called N-nitroso compounds. Research published in the journal Neurology suggests that these compounds are potent agents of oxidative stress and can directly cause DNA damage. Think of it as introducing tiny agents of chaos that create rust on your delicate brain cells. The effect can be so direct that one study in molecular psychiatry even linked nitrated meat products to mania-like hyperactivity in animal models, demonstrating a clear impact on brain chemistry and behavior. The second danger is a class of compounds with a fitting acronym, AGEs, which stands for Advanced Glycation End Products. When these meats are cooked at high temperatures, like frying bacon, grilling a hot dog, or searing sausage, these harmful compounds are formed in large quantities. As leading researchers have noted, AGEs are quite literally gerontotoxins, or aging toxins. They accelerate the aging process throughout the body by cross-linking proteins, causing tissue stiffness and promoting massive inflammation and oxidative stress. Critically, elevated levels of AGEs are consistently found in the brains of Alzheimer's victims, and they are thought to suppress sirtuins, our body's key defensive enzymes that protect against brain aging. In bird, there's the dual threat of saturated fat and a compound called TMAO. Processed meats are notoriously high in unhealthy saturated fat, which can impair cholesterol metabolism and damage blood vessels. Furthermore, a compound in red meat called L-carnitine can be converted by certain gut bacteria into a substance called TMAO. In vitro models suggest that TMAO promotes the aggregation and clumping of both amyloid beta and tau proteins, the two toxic proteins that define Alzheimer's disease. Think of Robert, 72, a retired truck driver from Texas. He'd eaten a deli meat sandwich for lunch almost every day of his working life, and the habit stuck in retirement. He was recently diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment, and his memory was getting noticeably worse. While many lifestyle factors were at play, His neurologist pointed out that the daily low-dose exposure to nitrates, AGEs, and other inflammatory compounds from his lunch habit was a significant and likely contributor to the chronic neuroinflammation that was accelerating his cognitive decline. A recent study of over 10,000 adults presented at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference revealed a terrifying link. Individuals getting just 20% of their daily calories from ultra-processed foods experienced a staggering 28% faster rate of global cognitive decline. Think about that for a moment. Just 1/5 of your daily food intake, the equivalent of a single donut and a small bag of chips, could be actively accelerating the aging of your brain. You've spent a lifetime working, saving, and planning for these years. You've built a nest egg. You've looked forward to the freedom, the time with family, the pursuit of hobbies. But what if the greatest threat to your independence, to your ability to enjoy everything you've worked for, isn't in your financial portfolio, but hiding in plain sight in your pantry? The modern food industry has spent decades and billions of dollars engineering foods to be convenient, cheap, and hyper-palatable. But in doing so, they've created a silent danger, a metabolic trap that is uniquely hazardous for those of us over the age of 60. After 60, our body's rules change. It's a reality we must face with clear eyes. Our blood-brain barrier, the protective wall that shields our most precious organ, can become more permeable. Our natural inflammatory responses, which are meant to protect us, can become chronically elevated. And our brain's janitorial system, the one responsible for clearing out cellular waste like the toxic amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease, can slow down. This means that foods that were once a simple convenience, a harmless treat, can now act as potent accelerators of brain aging, fanning the flames of inflammation and gumming up the delicate machinery of our minds. A quick note: this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making changes to your health regimen. But this is not a message of fear. It is a message of empowerment. In this video, we are going to cut through the confusion, the misleading labels, and the marketing hype. I will expose the 4 worst processed foods that are scientifically linked to accelerating brain aging, explaining exactly how they inflict their damage. And more importantly, I will give you the 4 powerful brain-protecting foods you should be eating instead, all backed by hard evidence from world-renowned institutions like Harvard Medical School, Rush University, and the National Institutes of Health. And you'll want to stay with me until the very end, because the #1 brain-boosting food we'll discuss isn't some exotic, expensive supplement you have to order online. It's a common, delicious food that one remarkable study found can improve memory in older adults with early cognitive changes in as little as 12 weeks. The results are truly transformative. Before we dive into the danger list, I'm curious, what's the one convenient processed food you find hardest to give up? Is it a morning cereal, a diet soda, or maybe a packaged snack? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and your honesty helps everyone in this community feel less alone on this journey. Let's begin with the countdown of foods to strongly consider removing from your kitchen, starting with number 4. Worst food number 4 is diet sodas and artificial sweeteners. For years, you were told you were making the smart, healthy choice. You switched from sugary sodas to the diet versions, patting yourself on the back for cutting out all that sugar. The label screams, 0 sugar, 0 calories. It feels like a guilt-free pleasure, a way to have your treat without the consequences. But for your brain, this could be a profound metabolic deception. The emerging science is painting a deeply disturbing picture. A powerful study, published in the journal Stroke, followed thousands of participants for 10 years. The results were shocking. Those who drank at least one artificially sweetened beverage a day were found to be nearly 3 times as likely to develop Alzheimer's disease dementia. Let that sink in. 3 times the risk from a single daily habit perceived as healthy, and the danger doesn't stop there. Another large study focusing on postmenopausal women, published in the same journal, linked consuming 2 or more diet drinks a day to a 23% greater risk of stroke. So what is happening here? How can something with no calories cause such potential harm? The damage appears to be multifaceted. First, there's the gut-brain disruption. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria, a complex ecosystem that scientists are now calling our second brain. Research suggests that artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin can wreak havoc on this delicate balance. According to experts at university hospitals, this disruption can alter healthy bacteria levels, which in turn can affect your body's ability to control blood sugar and may even inhibit aspects of your immune system, creating a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation that can travel from your gut straight to your brain. Second is the mechanism of metabolic confusion. These sweeteners are hundreds, even thousands of times sweeter than sugar. When they hit your tongue, your brain receives a powerful signal that a massive sugar load is coming. It tells your pancreas to get ready, to release hormones to process sugar that never actually arrives. This constant false alarm can, over time, confuse your body's natural hunger and satiety signals. It can trigger intense cravings for more sweet, high-calorie foods, contributing to weight gain, metabolic syndrome, and type 2 diabetes, all of which are major established risk factors for cognitive decline and dementia. And finally, there's the direct neurological link. A 2025 study published in the prestigious journal Neurology followed over 12,000 adults for 8 years. The findings were unambiguous. Those consuming the most artificial sweeteners experienced faster declines in thinking and memory skills. An effect the researchers calculated was equivalent to about 1.6 years of extra brain aging. Think of Linda, 70, from Ohio. She was diligent about her health and proud of drinking 2 diet sodas a day to manage her weight. But over the last year, she started experiencing a frustrating brain fog. She found herself standing in a room, unable to remember why she went in. At her weekly bridge game, the names of her friends of 20 years would suddenly escape her. Her doctor couldn't find a specific cause, but this pattern of constant metabolic confusion and low-grade inflammation, fueled by her daily healthy habit, was a likely contributor to that mental fatigue and those memory lapses. The better swap is simple and refreshing. Switch to sparkling water with a squeeze of fresh lemon, lime, or even a splash of unsweetened cranberry juice. Brew a large pitcher of iced green tea, which we'll talk about later, for its incredible brain-protective benefits. The bottom line is this: that diet drink is not a free pass. The evidence strongly suggests it's a metabolic Trojan horse. Strongly consider eliminating it to protect your cognitive future. Worst food number 3 is refined carbohydrates. This category includes some of the most common staples of the modern American diet: white bread, bagels, sugary breakfast cereals, crackers, cookies, and most packaged snacks. These are the foods of comfort, of convenience. A piece of toast for a quick breakfast, a sleeve of crackers for an afternoon snack. They seem so simple, so harmless. But inside your body, and especially inside your brain, they act like an incendiary device. These foods are stripped of their fiber and nutrients during processing, leaving behind simple starches that your body digests almost instantly. They have a high glycemic index, which means they cause a rapid, dramatic spike in your blood sugar, which is then followed by a precipitous crash. For an aging brain, this metabolic roller coaster is incredibly damaging. A large body of research now shows that diets high in these foods are directly linked to chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, and a significantly increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases. One study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition used brain scans to show that high glycemic meals actually stimulate the reward and craving centers in the brain, creating a powerful biological drive to eat more of the very foods that are causing the harm. The primary mechanism of damage is insulin resistance. When you constantly bombard your body with these blood sugar spikes, your pancreas has to work overtime, pumping out insulin to shuttle that sugar out of your blood and into your cells. Over time, your cells, including the neurons in your brain, can become deaf to insulin's signal. They become resistant. This is a catastrophe for the brain. Insulin is not just about blood sugar. In the brain, it plays a critical role in neuron survival, energy metabolism, and the formation of memories. The link between insulin resistance in the brain and Alzheimer's disease is so strong that many scientists have begun calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. The second pathway of damage is a relentless inflammation cascade. High blood sugar is inherently inflammatory. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. This systemic inflammation damages the fragile lining of the thousands of miles of blood vessels that supply your brain with life-giving oxygen and nutrients. This damage increases your risk for both tiny silent strokes and larger events that lead to vascular dementia. And the evidence gets even more direct. A 2024 study published in the journal Nutrients, which used animal models to isolate the effects of diet, found that a high-carbohydrate diet not only exacerbated cognitive decline, but also significantly increased the burden of amyloid beta plaques in the brain, one of the key physical hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. Let's consider George, 75, a retired accountant. He loved his morning routine: 2 slices of white toast with jam and a bowl of cornflakes. He started complaining to his wife that by 10 a.m., he felt mentally foggy and completely drained of energy. He was also becoming more forgetful, missing appointments he'd put on his calendar. What George was experiencing was the classic blood sugar crash. But it was more than just a temporary feeling. Those daily spikes and crashes were contributing to a state of chronic, systemic inflammation that was slowly, silently chipping away at his precious cognitive reserve. A better swap requires a bit more planning, but it's worth it. Instead of pre-packaged deli meat, roast a chicken or turkey breast at the beginning of the week and slice it yourself for sandwiches. Instead of bacon with your eggs, add a few slices of creamy avocado. Instead of hot dogs on the grill, try a high-quality chicken sausage or even a grilled salmon fillet. The bottom line is inescapable. The convenience of processed meats comes at a terrifyingly steep price for your brain health. The scientific evidence is clear and mounting. Drastically reducing or eliminating your intake of these foods is one of the most powerful protective moves you can make for your mind. And now, for the #1 worst processed food that ages your brain: industrial trans fats. This includes stick margarine, vegetable shortening, coffee creamers, and many commercially fried and baked goods like donuts, cookies, and frozen pizzas. For decades, we were told a dangerous lie. We were advised to swap natural butter for margarine to protect our hearts. We were sold on vegetable shortening as a modern, clean alternative for baking. These were the modern fats, the supposedly healthier choice. This may go down as some of the most damaging mainstream dietary advice of the 20th century. These industrial trans fats, created through a process called hydrogenation, which turns liquid vegetable oils into solids, are a biological poison to your cardiovascular system and, by extension, your brain. The American Heart Association is unequivocal on this. Trans fats deal a devastating 1-2 punch to your cholesterol. They raise your bad LDL cholesterol, which clogs arteries, while simultaneously lowering your good, protective HDL cholesterol. No other fat does this. And the link to brain health is terrifyingly direct. A large Japanese study, published in the journal Neurology, followed over 1,600 men and women for a decade. They found that individuals with the highest levels of industrial trans fats in their blood had a 50 to 75% higher risk of developing Alzheimer's disease or other forms of dementia. The mechanism of damage is cellular sabotage on a grand scale. First, trans fats cause profound vascular damage and inflammation. They directly injure the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, known as the endothelium, promoting the buildup of sticky plaque. This condition, atherosclerosis, makes your arteries stiff and narrow. Your brain is the most metabolically active organ in your body, demanding 20% of your blood and oxygen. When the thousands of tiny vessels that feed it become clogged and rigid, blood flow is restricted. This starves your brain cells of the oxygen and nutrients they need to survive and function, directly increasing your risk of both ischemic stroke and vascular dementia. Second, they cause cellular dysfunction. The membranes of your brain cells are made of fat. They need to be fluid and flexible to communicate effectively. Trans fats are structurally rigid and abnormal. When your body is forced to incorporate these unnatural fats into the membranes of your neurons, it can impair cell signaling, disrupt energy production, and compromise the overall health of the cell. And the link to memory is not just theoretical, it's measurable. One study, presented at an American Heart Association scientific session, found that for every additional gram of trans fat men under 45 consumed daily, they recalled 0.76 fewer words correctly on a memory test. I think of the generation of my own parents, who faithfully used stick margarine and Crisco shortening for years, believing they were doing the right thing for their family's health. My father, a brilliant man, developed vascular dementia in his later years. His doctors pointed to a lifetime of cumulative arterial damage, a process that was almost certainly worsened by these hidden, destructive fats he thought were healthy. The better swap is a complete purge. Throw out any stick margarine or vegetable shortening in your home. Read every label, and if you see the words partially hydrogenated oil, put it back on the shelf. Use extra virgin olive oil for salad dressings and low-heat cooking. Use avocado oil or coconut oil for high-heat cooking. And yes, use real butter from grass-fed cows, in moderation. The bottom line is this. While the FDA has officially banned most artificial trans fats, they can still legally linger in small amounts in processed foods. This is the single most dangerous fat for your brain. Avoid it like the poison it is. Hearing all of this can feel overwhelming, even frightening. We've just uncovered how processed meats, refined carbs, diet drinks, and industrial trans fats work together to create a perfect storm of inflammation, oxidative stress, and metabolic chaos in your brain. But I need you to hear this loud and clear. This is not a life sentence. It is a wake-up call. This knowledge is not meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. The most exciting research in neuroscience today shows that your brain has a remarkable, lifelong capacity to heal, adapt, and protect itself when given the right fuel. The damage is not always irreversible. Your choices, starting with your very next meal, can become your most powerful medicine. But first, we need to clear up a huge piece of misinformation that got many of us into this mess in the first place. For decades, we were taught a simple but dangerously wrong idea. All fat is bad. This myth, pushed by well-meaning but misguided health authorities, led millions of people to embrace low-fat, high-sugar processed foods. We swapped butter for margarine, ate fat-free cookies loaded with sugar, and believed we were being healthy. We now know this was a catastrophic mistake for our collective health. The truth, confirmed by institutions like Harvard Health and the Mayo Clinic, is that the type of fat you eat is what matters most. In fact, your brain is the fattiest organ in your body, composed of nearly 60% fat. It is desperate for a steady supply of healthy fats to build cells, protect nerves, and function properly. Let's make this incredibly simple. Think of fats in two categories. Unhealthy fats are the industrial trans fats we just discussed, which are toxic in any amount, and the saturated fats found primarily in processed meats and full-fat dairy. These should be strictly limited because they can raise your bad LDL cholesterol and contribute to inflammation when consumed in excess. On the other side, you have the healthy fats. These are the heroes for your brain. They are the unsaturated fats, which include both monounsaturated fats, found in foods like extra virgin olive oil and avocados, and polyunsaturated fats, which include the critical omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids found in nuts, seeds, and fatty fish. These fats are essential. They actively lower bad cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and are the literal building blocks for the membranes of your brain cells and the protective myelin sheath that insulates your nerves, allowing them to communicate at lightning speed. So the new rule is not no fat. The new rule is know your fats. It's time to stop fearing fat and start embracing the right kinds as the essential fuel for a sharp, resilient, and youthful brain. Now, let's pivot to the positive, to the solutions. Let's build your brain protective arsenal, starting with number 4. The best food number 4 is walnuts. We're starting our brain building list with a food that nature itself seems to have labeled for its purpose. Crack one open, and it looks like a miniature two-hemisphere brain. And modern science is confirming that this is no mere coincidence. Walnuts are unique among nuts because they are the only ones that contain a significant amount of a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid called alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. This compound is a powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant on its own, and it also serves as a precursor in the body to the other critical omega-3s, EPA and DHA. The research is compelling. A 2015 study from UCLA directly linked higher walnut consumption to improved scores on cognitive tests. But the benefits may go even deeper. Animal studies, which allow scientists to look directly at brain tissue, suggest that walnuts may have profound neuroprotective effects. They appear to upregulate hippocampal neurogenesis, which is the birth of new brain cells in your memory center. And some evidence suggests walnut extracts can even inhibit the formation and help dissolve the toxic amyloid beta fibrils that are a hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. Consider Mary, 68, a retired teacher from Florida. After her husband passed away, she found herself struggling with focus and motivation. She decided to make a small change, swapping her usual afternoon crackers for a small handful of raw walnuts. Within a few months, she noticed a subtle but real shift. Her thinking felt clearer, and she was having an easier time completing her daily crossword puzzle. She just felt more mentally agile, a small victory that made a big difference in her day. Practical integration is simple. Aim for about a quarter cup or a small handful per day. You don't need to overdo it. Add them to your morning oatmeal. Sprinkle them on a salad for a satisfying crunch, or just eat them raw as a powerful afternoon snack. It's one of the easiest and most effective brain-healthy habits you can adopt. The best food number 3 is dark leafy greens. This includes spinach, kale, collards, and Swiss chard. If there's one non-negotiable, must-have food group for brain longevity, this is it. These greens are not just healthy. They are nutritional powerhouses, packed with a unique cocktail of compounds that are profoundly protective for an aging brain. The evidence here is nothing short of stunning. A landmark study from researchers at Rush University in Chicago followed over 900 seniors for an average of nearly 5 years. The results were breathtaking. They found that the people who ate just 1 to 2 servings of leafy greens per day had the cognitive abilities of a person 11 years younger than those who ate little to none. This wasn't a small effect, it was a massive decade-plus difference in brain aging from a simple dietary habit. The researchers were even able to identify the specific nutrients responsible for this incredible benefit: a synergistic team of vitamin K in its phylloquinone form, a carotenoid called lutein, and folate. These compounds work together like a fire department for your brain, quenching the flames of inflammation and neutralizing the oxidative stress, that cellular rust that damages your neurons over time. Think of David, 78, who had always been a meat and potatoes kind of guy. After reading about the Rush University study, he decided to make a simple change. He started adding a large handful of fresh spinach to his morning scrambled eggs, and made sure to have a small side salad with kale at dinner. He told his family that after a few months, he felt sharper and more present in conversations, less likely to lose his train of thought. This was a direct, real-life reflection of what the scientists at Rush had demonstrated in their groundbreaking research. Integrating this into your life is easy. Wilt a big handful of spinach into scrambled eggs, soups, or stews. It shrinks down to almost nothing, but leaves all its nutritional power behind. Sauté kale with a little garlic and olive oil for a delicious side dish. You can even use large, sturdy, collard green leaves as a healthy, nutrient-dense wrap for sandwiches instead of bread. The goal is simple and achievable. Aim for at least 1 serving every single day. The best food number 2 is fatty fish. This means wild-caught salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. As we discussed, your brain is made of fat, and the absolute superstar, the VIP of brain fats, is an omega-3 fatty acid called DHA, or docosahexaenoic acid. While your body can make a little DHA from the ALA in walnuts, fatty fish is the most potent, direct, and bioavailable source of this essential brain-building block. DHA is not just an optional nutrient. It is a primary structural component of your brain's gray matter and the membranes of your neurons. Having enough DHA ensures your brain cells are flexible, healthy, and can communicate efficiently. The research from top-tier institutions is crystal clear. As Harvard Health reports, higher blood levels of DHA have been linked to lower levels of beta amyloid, that toxic protein that forms damaging clumps in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. This suggests DHA may help your brain clear out this dangerous waste product, and the population studies confirm this. A recent meta-analysis of multiple prospective studies concluded that regular fish intake is associated with a reduced risk of both mild cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease. One of the most powerful pieces of evidence comes from the famous Framingham Heart Study. Researchers followed a group of nearly 900 older adults and found that those with the highest levels of DHA in their blood had a remarkable 47% reduction in their risk of developing all-cause dementia compared to those with the lowest levels. Imagine Eleanor, 74, who watched both her mother and her older sister struggle with dementia. The fear of that happening to her was a constant weight. On her doctor's advice, she made a commitment to eat baked salmon twice a week. While she knows it's not a magic cure, she feels she is taking a proactive, powerful, and scientifically backed step to change her destiny. Her recent cognitive tests have remained stable, a fact her doctor attributes in large part to her diet rich in these neuroprotective omega-3 fats. To get these benefits, aim for at least 2 3 to 4 ounce servings of fatty fish per week. To make it easy to remember, use the acronym SMASH: salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. If you do not eat fish, it is crucial to talk to your doctor about taking a high-quality, third-party tested omega-3 supplement derived from algae, which is the original source of DHA. And now for the #1 best food to protect your aging brain. At the beginning of this video, I promised you a food that was scientifically shown to improve memory in older adults with early cognitive changes in just 12 weeks. That food is the humble yet incredibly powerful blueberry. Blueberries are absolutely packed with a class of compounds called anthocyanins. These are the potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory pigments that give berries their deep blue and purple color. The magic of these compounds is that research shows they can cross the heavily guarded blood-brain barrier. They don't just work in your body, they get into your brain and accumulate in regions that are essential for learning and memory, like the hippocampus. The clinical evidence in older adults is what makes blueberries so exciting. A groundbreaking study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry took a small group of older adults who already had early memory decline. They had them drink a concentrated wild blueberry juice every day. After just 12 weeks, the results were statistically significant. They showed marked improvements on tests of paired associate learning and wordless recall, two key measures of memory function. Another study from the University of Cincinnati took this a step further. They gave blueberry powder to adults with mild cognitive impairment. Not only did their cognitive performance improve, but fMRI brain scans showed increased brain activity in key regions while they were performing memory tasks. The blueberries were literally making their brains work more efficiently. Think of Margaret, 77. After her husband of 50 years passed away, she fell into a deep sadness, and she noticed her memory, which had always been sharp, was slipping. She felt foggy and withdrawn. Remembering an article she'd read, she started adding a cup of frozen wild blueberries to her morning yogurt each day. It was a small ritual, but it was something she could control. Over the next few months, her family noticed a change. She was brighter, more engaged, and she was having an easier time recalling names and recent events. Interestingly, the original blueberry study also noted a trend towards reduced depressive symptoms in the participants, suggesting these powerful berries may offer a dual benefit for both mood and memory. The practical application is delicious and simple. Aim for about a cup a day, either fresh or frozen. In fact, frozen wild blueberries are often even more concentrated in these powerful anthocyanins than their fresh counterparts. Add them to your oatmeal, yogurt, or smoothies, or just enjoy them by the handful as a sweet, brain-boosting treat. It is a delicious prescription for a younger brain. So, what have we truly learned today? It's not just about a list of good and bad foods. It's about understanding that there is a battle being waged inside your body, a battle for the future of your mind. On one side, you have the agents of cognitive decline, the chronic inflammation from processed meats, the metabolic chaos of refined carbs and diet sodas, and the direct vascular damage from industrial trans fats. But on the other side, you have your neuroprotective army, the powerful anti-inflammatory omega-3s in fatty fish and walnuts, the antioxidant shield from the anthocyanins in blueberries, and the cellular protectors like lutein and folate in dark leafy greens. These foods are not just passive nutrients, they are active interventions. They are the antidote to the inflammatory metabolic cascade. This isn't about luck, it's about choice. You hold the power to decide which side wins this battle. The journey to a sharper, more resilient, and more vibrant brain doesn't start with a complicated new program next month or next year. It starts right now with your very next meal. I want to empower you to take one small, immediate step. Do one thing today. Go to your pantry or your refrigerator, remove just one of the worst foods we discussed, and replace it with one of the best. Swap the diet soda for sparkling water. Swap the white bread for a bag of spinach. That single simple act is a victory. It is a declaration that you are taking control of your brain health. Which of these foods, good or bad, surprised you the most today? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insight could help someone else in this community make a positive change. If this video has empowered you with knowledge, please show your support by clicking the like button and subscribing for more research-backed health guidance you can trust. Stay strong, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next video.